All right, guys. So a couple of days ago, I covered some Gabe Follower tweets. Gabe Follower is like a guy who dives into the CS files. He's a, kind of data miner leaker. Just kind of tells the public about what he believes that Valve is working on for CS2 behind the scenes. Some new updates, some new content, some stuff that could be coming very, very soon. But again, there's been a lot of stuff Valve's been working on behind the scenes recently, at least according to a lot of these people behind, that are diving into the files and everything. And he had a bunch of tweets, but he also said, hey, a video is going to be coming soon about all the stuff he's been finding out. And finally, actually, like the same day that I posted my most recent video, he released his video. So in this video today, I wanted to react to some of the highlights and go over some of the things he said, because I think there are some very, very interesting things, and also some things that could be a little bit weird and could maybe be not so great as well coming from Valve and coming to CS2 in the near future. With that being said, of course, first I just wanted to plug my cash trading business. If you guys are looking to sell any of your CS2 items, turn them into cold hard cash, crypto, PayPal, any other payment method, whatever, hit me up over on Twitter. We're trying to get the big deals done. So especially if you have any, gloves, knives, bolt cases, expensive skins, maybe you want to sell your entire inventory, whatever, hit me up. We can probably get a deal done safely, effectively, and efficiently. Even with the new trade reversal update and everything like that, we're still getting deals done. Cash trading's not dead. Trading's not dead. CS investing is not dead. Nothing like that. So hit me up. We can probably get a deal done today. Twitter, Discord, all that stuff's going to be linked down below. With that being said, let's get right into the video. So, very, very good video from Gabe Follower. I've already watched this, but like I said, I wanted to fast forward a little bit to some of the highlights. But if you guys want to check it out, definitely go over to his channel. It's Gabe Follower on YouTube. What's next for CS2? Pets, new maps, anti-cheat hardware, upgrade. Obviously, we all want to see new anti-cheat stuff coming to CS2, but that's not specifically what we're going to be talking about in this video today. It's not as relevant to like CS investing and new content and stuff like that. So let's see what he has to say, about some of the operation stuff potentially, and also to some of the big changes that could potentially be coming to Armory as well, which would be massive.
Scripts, but looking at how Valve is slowly moving away from the concept of operations, I think CS will move more and more toward a standardized permanent battle pass, which is basically current Armory. That said, right next to weekly missions, there's also a mention of another type for operation quests.
So that's what I don't necessarily understand. We have talked about this and shown this and stuff in videos before. There are two types of quests. Valve added the new missions recently where like you do a certain mission, I don't know, you win 15 rounds on Grail or whatever, you get like 750 XP, which is like nothing. It's really stupid. The rewards are really ass. The rewards don't even make you, necessarily want to like grind for them or anything like that. But there are, these recurring missions, but then there's also these operation quests or missions or whatever. Now, could that just be something related to the Armory? Yeah, it could. Could it also be, something potentially related to, operations or some kind of seasonal, I don't know, things coming to CS2 at some point? I don't know. Obviously, people are still wondering about that. It is weird that there are two different types of quests and operations. We obviously haven't seen the second type of operation request put into the game just yet, but there are some people who think operations are dead because of the Armory, which I think is fair. There are some people who are still holding out hope that we could be getting some kind of operation or some kind of operation-like thing at some point in the future in CS2. I don't know. What do we see? There's a lot of weird stuff both ways.
Right next to weekly missions, there's also a mention of another type for operation quests. We have no clue how it will work, but potentially it could mean actual seasonal events with passes you buy on top of the Armory. On that note, there's a mention of a new system for bidding items with your XP or stars. Everything I'm about to say is straight from the game files, none of it was revealed to me in a dream. Technically, it's something like a secret auction. From time to time, a limited, extremely rare item will appear in the Armory that can be bought for a fixed price. Players can bid a certain number of stars, and the highest bid when the timer ends gets the item. The strange part? You apparently won't see how many stars others have bid, so it's essentially a blind roulette. Even stranger, if you lose, you don't get your stars back and they are gone. However,
so that is the part that is insane to me. Now, we have heard multiple different people talking about the fact that it does seem like Valve is working on some kind of auction type system for the Armory, which is kind of interesting. If there is going to be some super rare, super iconic, super crazy items that, people get to bid on or people throw extra money on, whatever, I get it. Because from Valve's perspective, I'm sure that Armory has been out for almost a year now, and there's a ton of people who have saved up a ton of stars. Like, yeah, when new Armory stuff comes out, it's super exciting, and people are spending their stars and all that stuff, but then guess what? After like a couple of months, sometimes even only a couple of weeks, some of the Armory stuff starts to get pretty stale, and people who are grinding the game a ton and are just constantly farming 5 Armory passes, they have a ton of stars, and they're not really incentivized to like redeem them because, honestly, redeeming for collections is pretty ass. You pretty much just get like 10-cent skins and 20-cent skins and stuff like that, and then redeeming for charms and stickers, some people aren't really that into that. And yeah, redeeming for cases can be cool, but people want skins, people want items, whatever. And if Valve, does release some really, really crazy, unique, iconic items that are also rare, is the biggest thing, because recently there has not been as many rare items in CS2. You look out through CS2 history, and there's some really rare, iconic items. Cattle 14s are insanely rare. Dragon Lores are rare. Howls are rare. Gunganiers are rare. Wild Lotuses are rare. But with how big the player base is and how much money there is in CS2 these days, and how much more popular CS investing is and all that stuff, it's hard for there to be really, really rare items, because however, whatever way there is to get items, people do it in a large amount. That's why we saw Paris, have some absolutely stupid quantities. That's why we see a ton of items now, even like the Overpass collection and the Sport and Field collection. They have so many things getting redeemed. All these new cases have so many items getting redeemed, all that stuff, because Valve has not, artificially put kind of rarity or scarcity into any of these items. But if there is some kind of bidding system that does actually make there be some rare and scarce items, they could be insanely valuable. They could be amazing investments. They could be worth a ton of stars. They could be worth a ton of money. And they could just go up a ton in price, which would be really, really cool, because there's already a bunch of really cool skins. There's already a ton of items in huge quantities. Like we're missing kind of the scarcity and the rarity of new items that Valve hasn't really done lately. So I think it would be cool. But at the same time, bidding your stars and then not getting them back if you lose, that is absolutely insane. That is just not how an auction works. Imagine you go to like a car auction, or a house auction. I don't even know what stuff gets auctioned off anymore, but say you're at a car auction, whatever, and you bid $10,000, somebody else bids 11, somebody else bids 12, and then they win the car for $12,000, and then you still lose your $11,000. The person who sold the car for $12,000, they get the $12,000 from the person, they get the $11,000 from you, they get the $5,000 from somebody else who bid. That is absolutely insane. And like I said, I'm sure Valve sees a ton of people stacking up a ton of stars and whatever. So by the time they do release some new content, people don't even have to necessarily purchase new passes to get the new content, because they already have hundreds of stars built up. And there's always new star farming methods, and I'm sure there's Chinese bot farmers farming stars and all that stuff. So I'm sure Valve wants a way to wipe out a ton of stars at once, but a literal scamming people out of an auction, creating some hype items that get a bunch of people to bid on it and then just taking away all their stars, that would be insane. I really can't see that happening. I don't know if Gabe Follower is mistaken, or if Valve is still going to work on this and tweak it and change what finally gets implemented or whatever, but if this is really the system where you bid and then your stars don't get back if you bid them, that is insane. And that would also be, I do think, a scam. I think scam is the right word for that, because again, then you would be buying the Armory Pass, which literally, the Armory Pass gets you nothing except for stars. It's not like you get any other kind of content or anything like that with the Armory Pass. It's not an Operation Pass. It doesn't get you, maps or game modes or DLC content or anything like that. You buy an Armory Pass, all you get is the potential to farm stars. So you buy an Armory Pass for like $15 or whatever. You get the potential to farm stars. You farm those stars, and then you get nothing in return. That's like gambling. That is, you're literally buying nothing at that point. You spent $15 to get stars that were nothing, that you then bid on something and got nothing back. That would be crazy. I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how that would be legal. I don't see how that would be allowed. I think that would get a ton of scrutiny, a ton of backlash. That would be crazy. So I don't think, again, like I said, I'm not sure Gabe Follower is, mistaken here or misreading something, or if Valve, whatever. Obviously, the system hasn't been implemented yet, so nothing's finalized or done or whatever. But this would be pretty crazy. I think this would cause a massive, massive uproar in the CS community. And I think if people did that one time, lost all their stars, didn't get the item, that people would be heavily incentivized to never do that again. I think it's something that a lot of people would do one time. Now, obviously, it depends on how insane the item is, how valuable it is, how rare it is, whatever. But I don't know. It'd be crazy. Even just by allowing people to bid stars, obviously, there's going to be people with hundreds or thousands or whatever of stars out there. People are going to bid some crazy amounts if the stuff is cool enough or valuable enough or whatever. But taking the stars away from the people who lose makes absolutely no sense. I'm also then very, very curious to see how many different items are going to be auctioned. Is it going to be the same items being auctioned over and over again? How many winners are there going to be? Per auction, per day, whatever. I have so many questions. I can't wait to see this, because again, if this auction house does end up being something cool or crazy or insane or popular, it could literally change CS2 investing, everything forever. But if it also just ends up being ass and it's kind of a scam and a money grab, I'm sure it's something that's just, going to die pretty quickly and people won't really care about. But I thought that was absolutely insane when Gabe Follower said, from what he sees, it looks like if you bid your stars, you are then going to lose them even if you do not win the item or win the auction. That is crazy to me.
You can cancel your bid before the timer runs out to actually get them back. And apparently if you already own the auction item, you can't participate again, so each player can only have one. One of the rarest rewards in this auction is a chicken egg. Yes, you heard it right, an actual freaking chicken egg. Honestly, this is one of the weirdest cosmetic ideas I've ever heard. Picture this. You win the auction and get a chicken egg in your loadout. It's bound to your account and you can trade or sell it. Based on the animations, it has 3 stages. First, the egg itself, which you can inspect. Second, a small newly hatched chick you can hold and pet. And third, a fully grown chicken. When it hatches, the chicken gets a random pattern unique to your account. You can hold it, place it on the ground, feed it, and show it in your menu. Other players can also see your pet and the animations when you hold it. I swear I'm not making this up, and this is fully backed by animation scripts, model references, player attachments, code, and even a map to preview your pets. I'd guess it's like a Tamagotchi style minigame you care for and share the progress with friends, so purely a social feature with no trade or sale value, which is maybe tied to a new game mode. I'll also go.
But again, something that would be absolutely insane and make no sense. Because again, if you are bidding, they're saying one of the best and most rare and most best items you can win from these auctions is this chicken egg, which is, could potentially be cool if chickens were tradable and these eggs had value, whatever, and there were rare patterns and whatever, that would make sense. You can bid a ton of stars, and again, stars are not cheap. Like what? A star is like 40 cents. So depending on how big these auctions get, if it costs 10, 20, 100, 200, 500 stars, whatever, these things could be worth tens, hundreds of dollars. And if you're then getting back something that's not even tradable, again, that's one of what makes the CS economy and the CS item system great, is the fact that you can buy items, play them, use them, and then sell them back for similar value. If not, oftentimes you're even making money. You buy some crazy skin, play with it for a couple weeks, sell it off, maybe break even, maybe make some money, maybe lose a little bit of money, whatever, but still you get back a large portion of that money. With this, you'd be buying armory passes, spending all the time, effort, and energy farming the stars, doing some kind of stupid ass auction, winning some chicken egg that you then can't even sell. That would be crazy. This would be some of the biggest. This just seems so different than the rest of the CS economy, so different than the rest of the item system, that again, under these current parameters and how Gabe Fowler is talking about this, I can't see the auction becoming very popular. I can't see the auction house being very big. I see it being kind of stupid, kind of a waste of time, effort, energy, resources, where people would definitely rather see the Valve devs working on something that people actually want or people actually care about. This auction house could be huge. It could be insane. It could be, like I said, something that changes CS2 forever. But it seems like they're going down a very, very weird track. Again, I don't really know what the hell their plan is with pets. It seems weird. It seems bizarre. Don't really know what their plan is with the auction house. But unfortunately, to me, at least from the things we're hearing right now, it's seeming more and more like a money grab, if not an outright scam, rather than anything cool or anything we should be too worried or concerned about. So I don't know. Like I said, there have been a ton of data mining leaks and updates and things about what Valve is working on in the future. So this is just some of the stuff that Gabe Follower had talked about in video and gone a little bit more in depth with that I want to share with you guys, give some of my thoughts and opinions. But who knows, man? We'll have to wait and see. I hope Valve keeps working on this stuff. I hope they keep tweaking it. I hope they take community feedback. I hope they actually know what the people want, because so far this seems like it's not it. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.